Recently, the Roblox event's Winter Spotlight has ended, and I've mixed opinions on it. Today I'm going to give my overall opinion on the event, as well as review the things I mentioned on my video on how Roblox can make dev hunts better, and whether they have met some of these solutions. What I'm going to be doing is to showcase my solutions from the said video, and see if Roblox has successfully met them. These are: add less games, pick better games, monitor what quests games offer, avoid picking games that can barely be played in low-end devices, offer better prizes with better requirements, host events in better times with better time span. We will be looking at each and every one of these solutions and see if Roblox has met them. Number 1. Add less games. When it came to events, Roblox seemed to have chose quantity over quality. This was an issue which the hunt had. It had 100 games, which was problematic because it made the event quite exhausting, especially since how most of the quests were horrible. This issue was something which the Classic had solved by having only 15 games. Roblox, however, went back with this issue in the games by having 50 games, followed by a laggy mess in my part. I believe this is an issue which not only do I have, but many other Roblox players have. Hence, why this issue is the first issue I bring up. I mentioned that Roblox chose quantity over quality. This was an issue which the hunt and the games had. Winter Spotlight had 24 games, and whether it's an issue or not depends on the time span. The event lasted for 16 days, meaning you had to do 2 games per day if you wanted to complete it. What an appropriate amount of games for an appropriate amount of days. So yes, Roblox did meet this solution. Number 2. Pick better games. While this may sound subjective, I believe this is an issue that should be solved, especially given the fact that many of the games in the hunt were terrible simulators with terrible quests that weren't fun at all. For example, Pet Simulator 99, Polar Sword, and Lumberjack Simulator. There were other games that made the event aggravating. This issue was also the case for Horse Race Simulator and Race Clicker in the games. This is obviously subjective, but I feel that is important because some games just don't deserve to be in the event. Like Pets Go, for example. They literally chose a game that would fuel a kid's gambling addiction into the fucking event, like goddamn. I don't even know if there are other games I have a problem with being added, but probably NFL Universe, because these sports games ain't really making any good quests. With that said though, I say that Roblox should improve on that. Arsenal should have been in the event, bro. I don't know why Roblox didn't include the game that cooked in all 3 dev hunts. They should add it to every single dev hunt they host. I honestly don't really like Toilet Tower Defense being in the event, not because why it's a brain rot reference, but because its quests ain't really suitable for beginners and makes them have to gamble for good units. This brings me to my next point. Number 3. Monitor what quests games offer. I believe games offering terrible quests is a problem with dev hunts, which all 3 events so far have suffered from. This was the case for most of the games in the hunt, given that most of them were simulators where you hardly do anything but grinding and grinding. I believe Roblox should take consideration into what quests the developers plan for their players. Are they fun? Are they manageable? Are they beginner friendly? Do they offer something new to their game for the event? I think the quests should not be too easy or too hard, and that the quests should not be in a way where it's going to be a hassle for beginners. In addition, they should be fun and enjoyable, not so grindy and tedious. Not the type of quest where you do the same shit all over again. This was a problem with half of the games in the Classic, by the way. So basically, Roblox should consider what quests the developers of the games offer. Dev hunts would greatly benefit from that. Basically, to playtest the games. This is absolutely important because they are literally what is carrying the event. Winter Spotlight literally has no in-hub quests, so the quests from the other games are the only way to get points. But my fucking god, were some of these quests horse shit. Especially for the Elite token, which you had to get 18 of them for the Elite Hollywood. These quests are outright terrible, man. Fuck Bee-Swarm Simulator for having such a fucking grindy ass tedious quest for the Elite token that requires you to have further progression. The fact that Connor 3D literally said don't. Just don't. Proves how worthless this shit-ass Eli token was. Fuck Toilet Tower Defense for having us play 40 waves equipping only 2 units, leaving us to rely on other players that gambled good. Fuck Tower Defense Simulators for having a quest where I have to play a harder version of hard mode, though they redeemed themselves by nerfing it so it can be played on easy mode, but even then easy mode is still harder yet. Fuck a Dusty Trip for having us go back and forth. Fuck Emergency Hamburg for having such big ass radiators, making the thieves' locations ridiculously fucking cryptic. Fuck Pet Go to Hell, especially this piece of shit fucking gambling simulator of a game.
Number 4. Avoid picking games that can barely be played in low-end devices. One of the reasons for why Roblox is popular is for the fact that it could be played in mobiles and tablets. To add high-quality games in the event kind of defeats the purpose of the compatibility. I remember I had to go to holiday midway through the classic and had to play the rest of the event on an iPad. I was struggling with Dragon Adventures due to me playing the 5th quest in a device with a low memory, meaning that I wouldn't really last long in the game. I had to get the ticks and token eggs before the game crashed for me. So basically, pick the games that are suited for those with a computer, a console, a mobile, and a tablet. That way we wouldn't deal with compatibility and availability issues.
Due to a lot of games being very high resolution, we can safely say that Roblox did not meet the solution, especially due to games such as Dragon Adventures and Creatures of Sonario. I would like to clarify that these games did not have bad quests and were quite bearable. However, these games would be a nightmare for low-end players. I also tried running Toilet Tower Defense on my iPad and it crashed. Like, damn, I ran that shit during the classic and it worked fine, so like, what the fuck happened? Not to mention my computer has become shit at running Roblox. Overall, I believe with games such as ERLC and Emergency Hamburg, the event is quite unplayable for low-end users, and I believe that it's a problem. Roblox needs to consider the optimization for such users because there will be cases where they can't use a computer.
Number 5. Offer better prizes with better requirements. If Roblox wants to attract their players with quest events, they should offer good prizes which are worth earning for. For instance, the hunt offered good accessories, but the gaps between the requirements of the number of badges kind of ruined the worth of getting them. Imagine having to collect 20 badges for each item. I personally think that kind of requirement ruined the want for the item.
Alright, so mid-ass prizes were a problem for the games. Was it also a problem with Winter Spotlight? Hell no! They fucking cooked with the items for Winter Spotlight. All 8 items were peak and had an appropriate reward system. Also, they rewarded classic clothing? That shit is way too good to be true. Like, honestly, I believe they cooked with the items, especially the Holly Wrap. But yeah, we can safely say they cooked. They cooked.
Number 6. Host events in better times with better time span. When it came to the hunt, Roblox hosted it at the best time with the best time span. It was hosted during Easter, which could be seen as something similar to Egg Hunt. The time span was also great, since it was 2 weeks, which was kind of enough to complete the event.
Roblox has indeed done this solution right. They hosted it during winter break for 16 days, and within those 16 days, you had 24 games to do. This meant around 2 games per day, but I already mentioned that in my first point, and yes, they have met this solution really well, so I don't really need to comment on it. In conclusion, Winter Spotlight wasn't necessarily good, but it definitely could have been better. For example, add in-hub quests. This is something which the classic and the games were carried by. They had good in-hub quests. They definitely need to not only pick better games, but also playtest the quests they offer because, my god, all 3 dev hunts suffered because of them. The hunt sucked ass because of that factor. The classic was peak, but was held down by that factor. The game suffered with that factor a lot. This is no different with Winter Spotlight. I cannot tell whether this event was alright or really shit because of the factors of having shitty games with shitty quests, but also fixing some problems which previous dev hunts had. I will be summarizing the positives. Okay, so the positives of Winter Spotlight is that some of the quests were good. Dress to Impress had a fascinating quest, although the main objectives for Winter Spotlight was to find the tokens within their story game instead of actually playing it. Greenville also had an interesting quest where you play their story game. Honestly, that's all I can say about the quests, cause all of the other quests scale from being alright to outright fucking horseshit. Winter Spotlight had a fantastic hub and was very peak. I do like the ice skating mechanic in the game. It's a shame how there isn't much to do in the hub apart from ice skating, however. There isn't any in-hub quests to do though, which unfortunately lets the game down. But yeah, with that said, I'd like to add that I'm working on a video about my ideal egg hunt. The video will take some time to make, but inshallah I get it done before Easter. With that being mentioned, I hope you stay tuned for it. Meanwhile, what do I say? I say farewell, adios, sayonara.